Can you use this as an aquarium? Let's talk about it. What's poppin', challengers? So today we are talking about if you can use a Tupperware container as an aquarium for your fish. I have personal experience with this and I'll be sharing with you all the information that I have learned, as well as some problems and things you really want to watch out for because it can be very bad. So I guess the first thing is, would I recommend using this as an aquarium? Not really. They're not the best for keeping fish, and there's a couple reasons why, and I'm only using this for the demonstration. There are many different sizes of Tupperware containers. They have big ones, they have long ones, they have super deep ones. So there are so many different options, so I'm just holding this as the example. I'll show you guys my setup at the end of this video. Tupperware containers can be very useful in your fish room or if you're keeping fish. I think one of the best things for using these Tupperware containers is using it as a quarantine setup. So whenever you get new fish, instead of having to set up a different aquarium for you to keep those fish in, when you make sure that they're not sick and they don't have any parasites or anything else, you could use a little Tupperware container and hold them in there so you don't have to worry about buying a whole new glass aquarium and storing them in there. These things are also very easy to clean. Once you're done with your fish, you can just empty out the water and scrub it down and just use it for anything else that you want to use this for. I think another great use for a Tupperware container is if you are keeping fish and you're breeding them. You could remove the female fish and add them to this aquarium for them to give birth to their fish and keep the baby fry in here as they grow up. It's very affordable and again, easy to clean. Now let's talk about the biggest problems with using these Tupperware containers. You can't see through them. This is probably the biggest problem. You can't see your fish from the side, and that's like the best way to look at your fish. Like that's why glass aquariums are so big. And the glass is like crystal clear. You can't really see through this. It's like foggy, it distorts a little bit. It also has like texture here and then no texture there. It doesn't make sense. So it can be very annoying if you want to look at your fish. I think that's probably like the biggest problem. Oh, I guess another big problem. Some plastics can leach out. So if you're getting this, you want to make sure that the plastic that you get is safe, like food grade. I'd also recommend doing the research on the type of plastic. It usually has that mark, but some plastics can technically leach out into the aquarium, which could kill your fish, maybe make them sick or other things like that. So you really want to avoid that. You want to make sure that nothing will interfere with the fish. I don't really know how common that is, but depending on the plastics, you'll want to watch out for that. Another big problem that people usually run into if they're using this setup is the fact that over time, the water pressure can actually expand and end up breaking this. This plastic isn't that strong compared to this glass and silicone and plastic trim on the top. This is basically a uniform body. So when you add water, it eventually starts pushing and pushing and the water is pushing outward, which can possibly make this break or stretch and water could leak out. So it's not the best for a long-term setup. I have seen videos where people build wooden braces around this to keep them contained and it prevents them from bowing, but that is one thing that you would want to watch out for. Oh, look at this. Do you guys see that little chip right here? But yeah, those are the things you want to look out for if you are planning on using it. Again, I wouldn't really recommend it for a long-term setup. I'd much rather have you guys save money and eventually upgrade to a bigger aquarium than have to deal with a bunch of these plastic totes and having them possibly break and spill a bunch of water everywhere. But enough talking, let's go over to my setup and I will show you guys my Tupperware container setup and what I have in there. I already showed this in a previous video, but if you didn't watch that, stay tuned and I'll show you guys. All right, here is my setup. So this is a little different. I'm actually having the filter intake go in here. It goes down to a fluval filter and then the water gets returned up here. And then these little holes drain water, and that's what filters this aquarium. But as you can see, like I talked about, it does end up bowing the aquarium. You can see, typically it would just be completely straight, but because of the water pressure, it is pushing on this. You can also kind of notice that in that aquarium up there, or that Tupperware container. So yeah, long term it does have those problems. And like I mentioned before, you can't really see through the aquarium. I only have one fish in here that I accidentally got from the pet store in the last video. I don't know if I can see him. Some of you challengers actually commented that the fish that I accidentally got from the pet store is a mosquito fish, which is really cool. I haven't had any experience with them, but I have been doing research since I have this like really cool aquarium book, which like gives me all my knowledge. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm probably gonna keep the mosquito fish in this aquarium, and a lot of you guys suggested to name it Casper the Ghost, since we also got a lot of ghost shrimps. I don't know, I can't see him. But nevertheless, this is the aquarium setup. This is what it looks like. The Tupperware container has its flaws, and this is the second angle, and as you can see, that is actually even worse, just how much it bows. Like, I think that would be normal, and then that is how much it actually is. Look at all that duckweed. Wow. I'm also currently using a Tupperware container as my aquaponics setup. As you can see, there is some lettuce growing in. But yeah, it's not the worst setup. I mean, it's pretty cheap. The volume that you get isn't the most. These two setups, like you can see how big their footprint is. They only hold about like 10 to 11 gallons, which isn't that much water compared to like a simple 10-gallon aquarium. But if you got some of those bigger storage totes, that might be more affordable for your $1 per gallon. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you learned something. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Check out my Instagram at Morelan. Take it easy, fam. Peace.